All right, Peter Solomon, I'm especially interested in retail, which has seen the bottom fall out, was already struggling because of online sales. Where do you see this going?
Well, you have retailing and service industry is 70% of the American economy. When you shut stores, when you shut restaurants, you're affecting, in retail alone, we think that 1 in 5 workers is involved in the retail system in the United States. That's 30 million jobs. So you got to get stores open. You do have to get stores open. You do have to get people back to work. And it's a really interesting dilemma for public officials as well as for retailers and restaurant owners and everybody else. How do you do that? What's the system? Will the goods be there, for example? It's a huge, not only healthcare issue, but it's a huge management issue. The government's made decisions about essential and non-essential stores. That's affected a lot of retailers. We're looking at Sephora, that's a non-essential store, for example. So it's going to be a problem until stores are reopened.
But when stores reopen, it's not going to be the same. At least for, let's say, 18 months, but I would suggest longer. I mean, unless there's a vaccine or a situation in which this virus can be behind us, stores will open where people have to still social distance. So if the goods are there, how do they move?
Well, the goods, a lot of people, of course, have curbside pickup. That's going to be a fact of life. So a lot of people are accustomed now to picking up your goods. People will go to stores. They obviously will, if they have a vaccine, they'll feel a lot better than going to a store worrying about what's going to happen. But you're going to have stores where the employees have masks. Most retailers are going to have to insist on their employees having masks. Now, one of the questions is, will the employees actually put them on? Then the question is, do you require customers to have masks? That's a big issue. If I were an employee of a store, I would like every customer to have a mask. Are you going to be able to do that? To enforce that? No. In Florida, we look around now and see half the customers going to Publix without masks. So these are real important issues. The first thing is, though, you've got to get the stores reopened. You must get the stores reopened, or you're going to continue to have huge unemployment.
Obviously, and Joe, you know, when you reopen those stores, the problem is, yes, some people can do curbside pickup if they're ordering food, but a lot of stores that are still out there and not competing with online sales have goods for people to look at, to touch, right, to look, to make decisions on, to feel them. That's how women shop for clothes. We don't just look at them, we touch them, we feel them. This is all going to be radically changed.
So, Peter, I wanted to ask you about Neiman Marcus. We heard the news this past week that they might be declaring bankruptcy. How significant of a moment is that for you in the modern history of American retail?
Well, for me, it's a significant one since I knew all the Marcuses, and Dick Marcus was, in fact, both my classmate and friend. It's a significant issue. It's not that significant in American retailing. The department store sector of American retailing has dropped from 65% in the mid-50s to less than 3% today. There are fewer people employed in department stores today than were employed in the mid-1980s. Neiman Marcus's decline is not an issue of merchandising. It's an issue of bad corporate finance. It has done 2 consecutive leverage buyouts in the last 10 years. You cannot run a retailer with huge amounts of debt because retailers are leveraged up to begin with leases. So retailers will survive who don't have debt. So to answer your question, it's too bad. I think it will come back I think it will come back in another form.
Pete. I'm sorry, Peter. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Got a little delay here. Appreciate your insights this morning, Peter Solomon.
Thank you.
Chris Liu, thank you very much as well. Coming up next, one part of the pandemic that doesn't get enough attention is the food crisis. Farmers have been forced to let crops rot while the demand at food banks skyrockets. We will talk about the failure in the food supply chain next. Keep it on Morning Joe.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.